Well, I guess really it was not surprising. This week's election of Zohran Mamdani as the new mayor of New York certainly is concerning to many people as he himself is a self-described Muslim Democrat socialist. In fact, here's what House Speaker Mike Johnson had to say after the election.
For the first time in American history, an avowed, openly proclaimed socialist has been elected as the mayor of America's largest city. Zohran Mamdani is without a doubt the biggest win for socialism in the history of the country, and it is the biggest loss for the American people. He is truly a committed Marxist. And the results of that race tell you everything you need to know about where the Democrats and their party are headed.
Yeah. So in addition to telling us where the Democrats are headed, Mamdani's election also tells us something else. That would be how mass migration can impact cities and beyond. Well, joining me now to discuss this is Mark Krikorian, Executive Director of the Center for Immigration Studies. Mark, welcome back to Washington Watch. Great to have you.
Glad to be here.
Okay, so let me just state for the record, first of all, that we are certainly not against legal immigration, but opening our borders wide for anyone and everyone to come in, well, there's consequences to that. Beyond the criminal elements that we've discussed on this show before. But Mark, you've been warning about this for quite some time. You've even authored a book entitled The New Case Against Immigration. So why should mass immigration be such a major concern right now for us?
Well, obviously, there's a whole bunch of reasons, and in my opinion, they're all kind of the same reason, in that mass immigration isn't compatible with the goals and characteristics of a modern society. We have a post-industrial, knowledge-based economy. We didn't have that 100, 200 years ago. We have a welfare state. The modern communications and transportation makes assimilation and security much more complicated. But specifically in the instance of Mayor-elect Mamdani, immigrants, generally speaking, vote not for the center pro-American candidate, but for, I don't mean anti-American, but they're more attracted to those who, like them, are not part of the mainstream. This is what we've seen historically. Now, it's not just that they're voting for socialists, because, Mamdani quoted Eugene Debs, who was the most famous socialist from 100 years ago, he's a member of Congress, actually, head of the Socialist Party. He wasn't an immigrant. But clearly, when you import lots of newcomers, especially into a system, into a country that is not confident about the value of its own history and is, our elites are at best ambivalent about America, if not just openly anti-American, you're going to have things like this because people, for instance, the statistics show that native-born Americans in New York did not vote mostly. A lot of them did vote for Mamdani, but most of them didn't. It was immigrants, it was newcomers, even from other parts of the United States. So immigration has real political consequences, and it needs to be low and slow.
So let me ask you this. I'm assuming of this that you would agree. I think the answer to this is pretty obvious, that mass immigration did, in fact, play a role in Mamdani's victory in New York. But aren't what you're really highlighting, isn't what you're highlighting really about assimilation, how poorly we assimilate immigrants into this country?
Yeah, absolutely it is. And there's sort of two aspects of that. One is assimilation is just harder today than it was in earlier waves of immigration. Not so much because the immigrants are that different, but because the world has shrunk. You can just FaceTime back home every day if you want. Hop on a plane and go and, to your cousin's wedding overseas for a 4-day weekend and come back. None of those things were possible in the past. And so in the old days, you were kind of forced by circumstances to put down your roots here and kind of decide, fish or cut bait kind of. And then you have, like I said, our elites that don't like assimilation very much. They don't like America very much. And what do you think that's the message that immigrants are getting from TV, from Hollywood, from the schools their kids go to, from the city government. So is it any surprise they're going to vote for a guy like this?
So what's the solution? I mean, we don't have very much longer left here in this segment, but what's the solution? Obviously, if we continue the path we're going, it's going to negatively impact our country. How do we turn this around?
The first thing we have to do, numbers have to come down. Immigration is a government program. It's a federal program. There's no reason that we can't turn the dial down. And as a government program, we're always going to screw it up. We're going to let in some people we shouldn't have. Vetting is not perfect. But if the numbers are low, the consequences are also less problematic if there are problems. And then the second thing is not an immigration thing. We need to rediscover the pride in our own country and insist that immigrants, their cultures and stuff, whatever, that's fine, but they're here now. And when in Rome, you got to do as Romans do. And we have not been sending that message for the past 50 years.
Yep, so true you are. Mark Krikorian, Executive Director of the Center for Immigration Studies, thank you so much for joining us. Always fascinating to speak with you.
Thank you.